The VC show, let's go. It's time to turn it out. The VC show, let's go. Let's go. The VC show, let's go. Let's go.
Welcome to the VC show. Of course, this is VC here, man. Glad to have you back. We're definitely going to get into a lot of stuff today, some interesting topics and some new topics. But first, we're going to talk about training camp starting, the Abu Dhabi games, which I got to go to last year, talk about who's there this year. And of course, we got to briefly talk about the WNBA Finals. So, man, let's get right into it. First up, training camp has started. And it caught me off guard because now that I am, believe it or not, 4 years removed. It's crazy. From playing my last game. I guess the last 2 seasons still kind of caught in the mix of that schedule. You kind of know all the dates that come up, and middle of September typically I go to whatever team I'm playing for to get ready for training camp, and that was not a thought in the world, obviously, now being 4 years removed, and all of a sudden just seeing training camp pictures, seeing media day, and I'm just like, oh man, it's already here. And yes, basketball is back and already here. Obviously, the big trades and moves has happened. Teams are gearing up, all with the same goal in mind, winning a championship. And, it's interesting to talk about that when, going into a year and everybody has that goal of winning a championship is talked about by some players, coaches, organization, executives when they have that conversation that night before the first day of training camp. And obviously those who know that they have a legitimate shot, you're really talking about it, and you're talking about your preparation, what needs to happen, the commitments, the sacrifices, blah, 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 blah. And it's kind of that first ego shot to some guys because you work hard in the summer on your game, and you want to show it off, you want to show it off to the world, and that's kind of not your plan. And that's always, for me, was a sticky subject when you're going in the off season working with other trainers instead, or just working with trainers in general, but mostly other trainers. You're trying to fine tune your game and add to your game as you should. But I also think, you have to be true and real with yourself and work on the things that you're going to do with the team that you already know that is going to be your role. And obviously everybody wants an expanded role, but the reality is when you play on a very good team, where you need to be a very good 3-and-D guy, or just to knock down shot, or whatever the case may be, a great team defender, you got to make sure that you're elite or as good as possible at that. So that's where the heartache and some of the frustrations of a season starts in the beginning, when you get to that first meeting and then you hit that reality the first couple of practices, and as you move down to the end of training camp into the first preseason games, reality starts to set in of your role. And now it's like, how fast can you adapt and buy into that role for the good of the team, particularly if you're on a team that has a legitimate shot at winning a championship. So it's, for me, as a rookie, I was always excited. As a rookie, I was definitely excited, even though it was a lockout year. When it was our time, I was so excited to get into training camp, obviously not knowing what to expect. My first 2 or 3, maybe even 4 years, still some excitement. Year 2 through 4, you know what to expect. You kind of dread, particularly back in that late 90s, early 2000s, when training camp was a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. It was actually spilling into preseason games. You'd still have a preseason game and still some days have 2-a-days. That's just how it was back in the day. And I know you guys are still like, what? Yes, that's how it was. Like, you had almost a month of training camp, but the word training camp and what we think and what it was was different. Was different because you didn't have 2-a-days all the time, but you still practice super hard long practices, even the day after a game. We didn't get the off days and all that stuff, particularly back in those days. And year 10-ish, middle of my career, you go through your season. You look forward. I guess everyone through all the years, you look forward for the summer to get away from basketball, to relax, and then you get to about the middle of the summer, you start getting that itch again. Particularly as a younger guy, I started to get the itch and ready to go back, and you start to progress in your workouts. Probably my first 10 years, progressing in your workouts, kind of getting ready, building yourself up to training camp into season. But near the end of my career, I had to kind of go, once the season was over, maybe take a week, 2 at the longest, and then kind of just kept going. Obviously I would fluctuate, kind of go, and kind of slow down a little bit just to make sure you're hitting your peak when it's time to go back mid-September to your team. So it brings back great memories. For me, especially when I was older, starting hitting my mid-30s, late 30s into my 40s, I was hoping they did say, "Hey, man, just come in shape, and you can come in after the first couple of days." Training camps are different now. Obviously, a lot of guys are playing a lot of basketball, so almost into training camp, so they're pretty much in shape already. Which obviously that I think coaches in organizations love that fact, but they're still a little hesitant because they're playing so much basketball. You don't want these guys, your superstar or your role players who play a significant role, to get hurt or wore down before your season even kind of gets going. Because like you play all this basketball straight through, your body still needs to recover. So it's kind of important how to to juggle that. But a lot of these guys coming into shape. So by doing that, you kind of skip all of that part. So yes, you still do conditioning drills, but it's so easy because guys are in shape. Now you can go right into your concepts, all your pet plays, your do's and don'ts. You implement your offense, your defense. You start introducing some of your trick plays, trick defenses, all of this stuff. It's easier to get into it. I'm interested for the season in general. I think it's gonna be a lot of parity. I mean, obviously, Dame trade to Milwaukee, Jrue to Boston. But I just think there's some other teams, and there's going to be obviously some surprise teams. See what Golden State looks like, see what the Lakers look like. Joel Embiid said that Sixers have something to say. I just think they need to get that figured out. What they're going to do with James Harden, get it figured out. Either we're going to move you, we're still looking, or we're not doing anything, and we're kind of focusing in, and let that be known, and James can kind of figure out what he wants to do or how he wants to handle that news. And as far as, yes, we're trying to move you, no, we're not dealing with that right now. We'll worry about that at a later date. Will he come in, do what he needs to do? I think the Sixers, they're just a few pieces away, man. So, and they're going to have to figure that out. Joel, feel strongly about it. And you don't want to waste those years of Joel. We've asked so much of Joel Embiid over the years. Can he do this? Can he get him over the hump? He hasn't. He's not able to win the MVP. He did that. Score. He has everything in his bag. You do not want to waste these years, these prime years of Joel Embiid. So I think Sixers have to get it all figured out. The organization, they got to get it all figured out. Where are you going to go? Who are you going to keep? Who are you going to move? That's extremely important. This is the time now to get that handle. Obviously, you want to hit the ground running in training camp, going into preseason. But by the time regular season gets here, hopefully the last preseason game, you kind of have all of this kind of settled or figured out if you can. I mean, it's obviously it's a hope and want. It doesn't happen all the time. But we talk about Milwaukee. Last time I talked about the trade, what they needed, I felt they needed. I had a chance to go kind of look at the roster a little more. Obviously, Giannis, Dame, Chris Middleton, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis. They picked up Campaign, and I like that. I mean, because we've seen over the past year or two when Milwaukee tends to struggle to score, they defend, they just don't, for whatever reason. Cam Payne is a guy that's plays up-tempo, high energy, and you need a guy you can just throw the ball to him like Russell Westbrook. You're not scoring, but you can throw him the ball and he can speed up the tempo. He can get up one-man fast break, get layups, or make the defense collapse to get open shots for guys. Instead of having to try to find ways to do it out of a pick and roll, out of isolation, you can get easy plays, easy buckets without running plays. I think Cam Payne will bring that. Pat Connaughton, 3-and-D, Jay Crowder, 3-and-D, and that's what I said. I felt they need shooters and 3-and-D guys, and I think Jay Crowder brings that. You have enough bigs. Obviously, I said Bobby Portis. They have Robin Lopez there, along with so that'll be interesting with the brothers. I don't think they'll ever play that lineup, but they could because Brooke can be a 4-man. Obviously he plays zone sometimes. Spot minutes just to junk it up because now you get all the rebounding. You get shooting. You got Robin can set all the screens and rolls. He's still pretty solid around the basket. So that would be an interesting lineup, and use Giannis. Use Giannis at 3, Lopez, both the Lopez brothers, and then you can kind of go with the Chris Middleton and Dame, or with Cam. Now, with Cam, I don't know. I don't know if I would play that lineup with Cam because he'll outrun everybody. Giannis could run with him, but maybe like with Dame, I like that. Something like that. So they have a lot of even Marjan Beauchamp. He had an unbelievable summer. He scored like 70 points or something like that, 72 points in I think it was the Jrue League. I'm pretty sure it was either Jrue League or Jamal Crawford's league. I can't remember. I think it was Jamal Crawford's league, honestly. And then there's Malik Beasley, who gives him another 3-and-D guy, and I think he can play a huge role for them as well, because you can put Giannis out there with a bunch of Giannis and Dame with shooters, because Jay Crowder can play the 4, so on and so forth. And then let's flip on to the other side. You think about Jrue Holiday now going to Boston. The starting lineup sounds good. I mean, obviously Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Jrue Holiday, Triple J's, Derek White, Kristaps Porzingis. And I'm curious to see how they use that lineup because okay. You have Al Horford, Wenyen Gabriel, Luke Cornett, and I'm naming those 3 guys for a reason. I'm hesitant. Porzingis is great pickup. He's great when he's healthy. You just got to keep him healthy. And it depends on how much you use him at the center position. Because I think, there's not a lot of guys to bang with, but you still use him at the center position where he has to bang with somebody, and as opposed to he likes to be out on the perimeter. Al Horford, that's why you have him. But if I'm a coach and I'm always putting myself in this position, I'm a coach, I'm being smart on how I use Al Horford throughout the regular season. Yes, you want to position yourself to have one of the best possible records because this is a very capable team of going deep in the playoffs. So you have to be smart how you use him. But I think using Wenyen, Gabriel, and Luke Cornett, and Porzingis on occasions at the 5, but the other 2, you have to give those guys minutes. You have to, because you don't know what's going to happen at the end of the year. And some people say, oh, we'll worry about that when we get there. Cool. But when you get there, at least you can go down your bench and feel comfortable in a playoff situation. And that's what frustrated me as a player. I mean, sometimes and watching and now watching coaches, sometimes they shorten their bench, which I know they've done it throughout the history of time coaching. That's fine. But when you need to expand your bench, if a player gets hurt, suspended for a game, has an ankle injury out for one game, what do you do? And they go down the line you don't have the confidence in playing these guys, but you have the opportunities to play them and get them the minutes during the regular season. You got to do that. It's just important to me because as a player, I mean, as a coach, you've got to feel comfortable when you put a guy in. That's why they don't do it. and they play their smaller lineups, but when you need a big, you don't feel comfortable. Well, this is how you protect Al Horford. You use those guys when you need them in blowouts. You take those guys out, you get them as many minutes as possible, but you still want them to play some minutes with your superstars, so your star players feel comfortable with them, know how they operate, and vice versa. So I'll be interested to see how they use Gabriel, Cornette, and even Porzingis, and Al Horford, those four guys, because losing Robert Williams is huge. Huge. He's a lob threat. Everybody's like he gets injured a lot. Yes, he got to get healthy. Yes, totally agree. But his presence defensively is paramount to what they're trying to do. Because when think about it, if you run against this Milwaukee Bucks, you're dealing with a Lopez who's pretty good in the post. You're dealing with Giannis, who's very good in the post. You're dealing with Embiid, who's very good in the post. Let's say if you get past those guys, well, guess who you have to deal with in the West? You know it, the Lakers, Denver. So you have to deal with AD. You have to deal with the Joker. So you want to make sure. Yeah, they're not able to guard those guys. I know you guys are saying, oh, they can't guard them. That's fine. Spot minutes. If Al Horford gets in trouble, you can use those guys to spare them in the heat of battle, in the playoffs, to save Al for when you need him. So there you have it. I'm off my soapbox on that, so that's just how I feel about that. So let's stay tuned on that, man. Like, I love to hear what you guys think about that. I see your comments all the time. Keep commenting on what we're talking about here on the show. I'm just kind of throwing it out there, laying it down, and allowing you guys to kind of comment on it with me. Am I crazy or not? What you think? I hear you guys. I see you guys also talk about, I should be a coach. I like I said, I'm only 4 years removed from the game. I feel like there, a lot of players. I always use Atlanta as an example because that's the last team I played for. I understand. There's situations where you got to raise your voice as a coach to get a player, but it would be a player-to-player interaction instead of player to coach. How I guess some feel like you should interact, and that can be a conflict of interest, in my opinion. Maybe not yours, in my opinion. I just don't think right now I'm ready for it, or I don't know. I'm not up for it right now, but we'll see. Stay tuned on that. Until then, BC Show will still break it down as a coach for you guys to expand your thought process and your capacity of the game, and how I and some of my other peers look at the game. So let's move on to the WNBA Finals. Let's preview that. October 8th is game 1 at 3 p.m. I'm just interested to see this matchup, but my question to you guys, and comment in down below when you can, who's the X factor in this series? Who's the X factor? Because, I think Asia and Stewie will cancel each other out. Plum and Ionescu, more than likely will cancel each other out. But then there's Chelsea Gray, who is a bucket. And then you have Jonquel Jones, who gets it done. 11 points, 8 rebounds, and a block. Like, which one of those two tips the scale to win? Obviously there's other bench players for both teams, but I think Nyjah, I'm assuming she's going to guard Chelsea Gray. She gets it done. This is going to be entertaining. So, for those who don't watch the WNBA, like, oh man, I don't watch it, I think you should check it out. Some great basketball. Check that out, man. I'm curious to see who gets it done. I'm not going to say who. I know who I think I'm leaning towards to win it, but I'm gonna bring Ros on. Hopefully, I can get her on before the 8th. But we're gonna bring Ros on, and I'm gonna have her do a preview and break it down. And I want to ask her some questions to further see if who I'm picking is the right choice. So stay tuned for that.
The VC Show, let's go.
As promised, I talked about the WNBA briefly. I said I was going to get you a preview. So who better to call to get the ins and outs, the behind the scenes than who? Yes, sir. They call her Ros Gold-Onwude. Ros, what's going on? How are you? How you been? Busy, of course.
Vince, we back, man. I missed you.
Yes, we are back. We are back. I mean, I've been seeing you here, there, everywhere, doing your thing. But like, what's going on?
Just, it's the heat of the season right now. We're in the WNBA Finals. For me, I work as a reporter and analyst on WNBA and NBA. So I've been on the road a lot with WNBA playoffs. We're now at the pinnacle. I'm already looking also ahead. I got my preseason NBA schedule coming up.
Yes.
So it's that beautiful time where everything's interlocking. Just announced a WNBA team is coming to the Bay. The Warriors ownership group is bringing that out. There'll be an official announcement perhaps on another team to follow as well. It's really
we need to get one here in Orlando. We got to get one in Florida again. That's what we need. There's not one in Florida anymore. There was one, used to be one here in Orlando, used to be one in Miami.
Miami as well. But it's the team coming to the Bay, it's fertile grounds for women's basketball. From when there was the Monarchs and SAC, from Stanford women's basketball to the many great women's college teams that come out of there.
You had to throw that in there.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Oh, no, I'm saying too. It's cool.
For women's basketball, it is what it is. The Bay, it has a lot of love for the game and a lot of love for women's basketball. The ownership group at the Warriors, Mr. Lagup's been a big women's basketball supporter and passionate about it. And that's also obviously an ownership group that they're great leaders. They already have success. It's going to be a different world in the WNBA, but they
kind of know how to put it all together, though. They know how to get it together,
Yeah, it's very exciting. Were you excited to see the expansion? Yeah,
it was cool. And that's why I said, as soon as I saw it, I was like, man, we need to get one in Florida somewhere as well. I mean, they have one everywhere else in the South, and obviously they used to have one in Orlando, obviously in Miami, and I knew some people there. So it'll be cool to kind of see it expand again because of the excitement of the WNBA. And speaking of the NBA Finals, two of the best from start to finish, the Aces and the Liberty. How did they get there?
Oh, how did they get there? I mean, it was kind of like star-crossed lovers who were destined from the beginning of the season, and now they're meeting finally. It's very dramatic and cinematic. It's like a movie almost. I think Sue Bird had a tweet where she was like, if there was one time where I was happy to see the writers, get
the script right. Yes,
the script right. And so this is the matchup that we had previewed from the beginning of the season. These were the two teams that stacked up, that had the superstar talent, that everybody was labeling, super teams. And they were that. They had different journeys. The Aces came out the gates and was stomping on people. Don't forget, they had their core four, and that's an important thing to know if you're not familiar, the core four of Asia Wilson, Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum, and Chelsea Gray. And then on top of that, that group helped the Aces win the championship last season. But now in their pursuit to run it back, they added Candace Parker. And when they had Candace, Vince, it was like they were unstoppable. And then Candace got hurt. So Candace, I think, only played like 18 games or something. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, that's about right. It's about 18 games, 9 points. I said 9 points, 5 rebounds. Yeah, I'm on it.
Come through stats. What? And so they stumbled for a while, though. It was a lot to suddenly not have her. And they figured it out, and they like charged towards the end of the season and then like have smashed their way through the first two rounds of the playoffs.
Chelsea Gray has been balling.
Asia Wilson.
Oh no, that's understandable. That's understandable. No, I'm just saying, like when they were getting their stride back, I think Chelsea carried the load, and obviously Asia just like, you know what? All right, we here now. Hop on my back and let's go. But I want to ask you a quick question about the Aces while we're here that you mentioned Candace Parker. And my question to you, if you know, and I could be far-fetched with this, will we see Candace Parker?
No.
Is it a possibility? No.
No.
Because I think she brings so much to the table, and her, she's a veteran. She knows how to win. Obviously, they know how to win, and everybody loves Candace Parker, and we just want to see her. When she's on the team, you want to see them succeed. So I had to ask that question just to make sure.
I mean, I would be very shocked to see her. I don't actually think there is a plan for that. I actually think it might even rattle up the momentum the Aces are on. They are being so dominant right now.
Right.
So, maybe if there was a desperation play at some point, but, to answer your earlier question, the Liberty had a different dominant path, right? Like they started the season and they brought in a whole ton of superstars and they had to figure each other out. You know what I'm saying? So in the beginning, it wasn't like domination. They had vulnerability. And then towards the end of the season, they really took off. A lot of that had to do with Jonquel Jones emerging. Breanna Stewart, the league MVP this year, was fantastic all year. The assist and playmaking of Courtney Vandersloot. And Sabrina Ionescu has been clutch and exciting all season shooting. Playoffs have not been her time. She has been locked in on and deserves the respect and defensive attention that she has gotten. They've been on her and on Stewie, and Benijah Laney needs some flowers because she has been a life jacket, a life preserver for the Liberty. She is a safety blanket. She has come through consistently in these playoffs on both ends, offense and defense. So that's how the Liberty got here. And the Liberty towards the end of the season were on this huge winning streak. They won like 8 straight and lost the last game. And in the head-to-head Commissioner's Cup with the Aces and the Liberty at the middle of the season, the Liberty won that one. So the drama continues to heighten. The Liberty get the hardware. Breanna Stewart gets the MVP. A'ja Wilson doesn't. These Aces might be the 1 seed, but they certainly got a chip on their shoulder and kind of feel disrespected. So it all is mounting into this high-profile, popcorn, exciting moment in the finals. You couldn't have asked for more superstar power, bigger names, bigger games, bright light cities in Vegas and New York, ownership groups who get it. Two of the top leaders as far as owners in the Tsai family, Clara Wu Tsai, Joe Tsai, and on the other side, Mark Davis. They're doing a great job. You go to these arenas. I'm not trying to tell you, these arenas are packed. It feels exciting. This is not a charity case. This is an exciting, cool night. It's the cool kids and celebrities. It's popping. Nothing could be bigger than that.
And that's what I want to say. I want to say 2 things. First of all, Sabrina, the one thing I love about what Sabrina has done, yes, she has been a focal point trying to lock her down, but she still comes off hard of screens, and she gives herself up for the good of the team, which I think has allowed Nyjah to do her thing, and obviously everyone else. So shout out to her. But I wanted to ask you, in your reporting, okay, well, let me go back. Liberty beat the Connecticut Sun 3-1, and the Aces swept Dallas Wing 3-0. Connecticut gave them a run, but I want to, leading up to, A'ja gets Defensive Player of the Year. Were there any whispers like, would she take home both, or was it kind of understood that you were hearing that, Stewie could get it? Because I thought I heard a little bit like Stewie, and I thought it could go either way. But I'm sure a lot of us, and I know maybe you will or will not answer this, but I thought a lot of us felt like, yes, Breanna Stewart was balling, which she was, but A'ja Wilson was coming on strong to kind of to make people feel like she could get both of them. So I definitely, when you're in your interview, it was great. Y'all interview, that was pretty darn cool. So and she kind of shrug it off a little bit, but I'm sure she's using that for motivation to really take the Liberty out.
You bring up that interview. It was the day of the announcement, and then the Ace and the MVP went Stewie's way. The race was one of the closest ever. I think it's second closest. I don't know. Maybe was it the closest? I don't know. Stats is not.
Yeah.
But it was tight. And any one of the 3, and Alyssa Thomas, Stewie, Breanna Stewart, and A'ja Wilson, literally anyone could have won, and you'd have been like, deserved.
Yeah.
And Alyssa Thomas actually had the most first place votes, which is crazy. So there's a lot of controversy around the MVP, and actually the debate and heat and passion around it I thought was quite exciting and healthy for the league, that people, there was so much passion around the topic. So anyway, I happened to be on the game, and A'ja's grace and A'ja's answers really stood out to me, because we're sitting there as the media and we're like, is this going to fuel you? I was the one that said, does it hurt? She said, it hurts like heck. And
I love it.
And I said, will it fuel you? A'ja's answer was, this is not going to cause some awakening. I've been fueled. She was like, I've been motivated since I stepped foot in the league. I didn't need this to suddenly motivate me. Like, I'm already that. Like, she already knows who she is with or without the award and accolade. And that sense of confidence clearly showed itself on the court. She went 3 straight games of 30 plus points. It was historic. So she's making history in the playoffs despite that.
Letting us know, letting everyone know.
That added fire to the conversation too, though, around who should win MVP, because on the men's side, this happens too. They give the award after the regular season, and Stewie's struggling in the playoffs. She has not had a strong playoff showing.
Agreed.
And Asia has been playing out of this world. So it's a lot easier now to be up in arms too. You got Asia bowling out her mind over here on both ends. Stewie's quiet so far in the playoffs, so it caused a lot of controversy.
And Roz, we had this conversation about how late the NBA chooses to announce these awards, and everything kind of gets skewed as far as it's a regular season award that we need to understand, and it's not a postseason award, and that doesn't get included, but we see it, and it's hard to kind of block that out because of the award hasn't been announced yet. So are we adding to it or we're not? So I think both organizations need to kind of get that cleaned up. We talked about this about the NBA. I feel like once it's over, leading up to, I don't know if it's time, but maybe they can allot time leading up to the start of playoffs. You kind of got to get these things handled, a little bit. So once you go in there, now it's understood it's a regular season award. There's no discrepancies at all. So
I got a question for you, because I'm someone who's like in the thick of it. I'm in the games, I'm in the huddles, I'm doing the interviews. Like, I'm in the thick of it. Like, we got 2 teams. I don't think there's a bigger finals in the past few years than this. Like, oh man, damn, I don't even have it up. I'd have to take a moment to look, but the star power is crazy. It's very easy to follow these storylines.
For sure.
The Aces or the Liberty, Asia Wilson and her squad versus Breanna Stewart and her squad. So I'm curious for you, as someone who respects the game and loves it, which team do you just find yourself gravitating towards a little bit more?
Obviously, you always gravitate towards some of the people that but at the same time, I watched them play each other, I think twice. I didn't see as much of the first game as I did the second game. And I was like, oh, they're going to see each other again. So, obviously, Asia Wilson, I know her brother and some family. So, I naturally root for her. Obviously, Candace Parker, who's an OG in the game. So you root for her. That's why I asked that question earlier. So, you kind of lean towards them. But I want to see a great finals. And, it's when you're leading up to it, you want to see the best teams play each other in the finals. And sometimes, there's an injury or whatever, that it happened. What people wanted from the beginning of the year, the middle of the season, end of the season, it happened. And
it's literally,
you can't ask for it. Exactly. So now you just want to sit here and just like, all right, let's let this play out. Yeah. So, cause there's like, you look at Breanna Stewart, like she went out there and she balls. She gets it done. Sabrina gets it done. Vandersloot, whatever. Which leads me to my next
this series.
This is perfect, right on time. Which leads me to my question. I think for you is, I think Asia is going to take that matchup personally, and I know Breanna is going to obviously rise to the occasion because she knows she has to, for a lot of reasons, because of the whispers. But who is the X factor in this series that will take this over the hump? I say, I think of Kelsey Plum and Sabrina kind of X factor, X each other out, if you would. Chelsea Gray, then you have Vandersloot. I kind of give the edge, me personally, to Chelsea Gray, but I say Jonquel Jones is one person that will make a difference in this series. She's the X factor, like who can slow her down. I know, like I said, Jackie Young's been playing well, but like Jonquel Jones, when she gets rolling, she's pretty darn good, and she makes things easier on Sabrina and Stewie. But what say you?
I'm with you totally. Jonquel Jones has been the best player for the Liberty. Her and Benijah Laney in these playoffs.
Oh, yeah. That's another X factor. Correct.
And Benijah's an X factor. Jonquel has to be a given. Jonquel's emergence from the All-Star game to now She got better conditioning, got healthier over the course of the season, and also figured out her role. Being a consistent.
I just hate seeing her shoot threes. Because I know she's so dominant. Yeah, I know, but she's so dominant in the post. She gets them extra possessions.
But she got to continue to be a monster in the paint. Like, that's what she's done, and she's got to continue to. And she's on her way potentially to a Finals MVP. Like, that's how good she's been in these playoffs. I think for X factors, I mean, obviously Benijah.
I like that.
The Liberty, one of the shortcomings for the Aces have been their lack of depth. The Liberty have not played their bench in much of these playoffs, but throughout the season, their bench has shown being capable. So perhaps the bench could be an X factor. Another X factor, watch the battle on the boards, because both of these teams, these are the two top offenses in the league. Rebounding is just a mechanism to get back out and run. So they trying to get on the glass, get that defensive rebound and go. So you got to make sure you box out, keep them off the offensive glass. And I would also
that's why I say that, Roz. That's why I said that real quick. That's why I say about Jonquel Jones being in the paint, because just imagine she's getting extra possessions for kick out threes for Sabrina. That's how she can get that. Yeah.
Same thing for the Aces. They got the same explosive offense, so their keys are very similar. And then I'll also throw out one more thing in there. When the Liberty beat the Aces, they were able to crowd Asia, and the Aces shooters didn't make them pay. I think an X factor is, wings, guards, y'all got to knock down shots, because they was crowding Asia in those other games. I fully expect full on Greg Popovich style for Becky Hammon to have a new solution against the Liberty that she's never shown the Liberty. She's not going to show it all in the regular season. They got the Commissioner's Cup, and I believe she's held something in her pocket for these playoff moments in the finals.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, I appreciate it. Hopefully, when's game one? October 8th?
Sunday.
October 8th. Yeah, so you guys, man, check that out, man. You got to check it out. I know there's a lot of people who say, I don't really watch the WNBA like that. Do me a favor and just watch this. You're talking about talent. You don't see high flying dunk, but you see skill, you see shooting, you see everything you want in the game of basketball in the WNBA. So check that out. And real quick, I want to ask you, Dame Lillard goes to Milwaukee. Jrue Holiday goes to Boston. How about that?
The NBA, it's never not entertaining, man. That's a double negative, but the NBA is always something.
And it was interesting to see Giannis talk all summer about he just want to play for championships. He just want to, I don't know what the future looks like in Milwaukee and this, that. So, and Milwaukee heard him loud and clear. We hear you loud and clear. We hear you. Look, here you go. Dame Lillard.
They brought Dame expeditiously over there.
Are you good? Say it again.
Expeditiously. He don't let those poor executives sleep, because he was at media day post getting Dame to the team, and he said, I'll be a buck as long as we're winning. I'm like, bro, can you let these people have media day? They just brought you Dame. He ain't gonna let these people sleep,
And I get it. He's trying, exactly. He's trying to keep them on their toes, but I mean, at the same time, he has to continue to deliver. I say has to. We know he will. And I think that's a 1-2 punch that can be pretty solid. I think Malik Beasley is going to be extremely important for them as far as shooting. They're going to need somebody to shoot. Because, like, if you're in pick and roll, like, if you're guarding this, you're going to crowd and you're going to make somebody else have to knock down shots. They do have shooters. So it'll be interesting to see what the Milwaukee Bucks do. And I'm interested to see what the Boston Celtics do as well.
Who I'm interested in seeing?
Losing Robert Williams.
I'm interested in seeing what the 76ers talking about, because y'all having conversations about Harden pulled up to Colorado. Is he going to participate wholeheartedly, or is he just
he's just been doing drills and not scrimmages yet.
And I'm listening to their poor Nick Nurse having to do interviews. Half the thing is about, is James Harden, in good spirits or in good whatever. Just whole thing's about James Harden. And I'm like, bro, the Celtics and the Bucks just took 5 steps forward, bro. Like, where is the urgency here? Right now, the rest of the East that has to have a moment, a gut check. Like, are we going to compete for a chip at the top of the East this year? Or are we just going to say, you know what, let's get ready for next year? Because that's how much the urgency has ramped up, or at least the hype has ramped
Okay,
up. I'm not
correct,
gonna say that
correct.
because those two teams still got to figure it out, make it work, and win.
Yeah, but they got the pieces. Boston's already in
yeah,
place. I think Jrue Holiday can fit with them
it's a
seamlessly.
lot of new in
He's a
Boston.
vet, so
It's a lot of new in
yeah.
Boston.
No, I agree. And it's a lot of it's a lot of guys that gonna have to play it. I said this earlier. I was having a conversation with some guys, and I was saying Al Horford is gonna be important for them in the playoffs.
Right.
How can you save him and not have to use him so much in regular season to have him fresh for the playoffs? So
Right. And
Winyan Gabriel, Luke Cornett and Kristaps Porzingis are going to have to play key roles, and Kristaps is going to have to stay healthy somehow. But at the same time, you know what's going to happen. They're just going to keep this team now and down the line to see what's out there, what bigs are out there, who's unhappy. Clint Capella could end up available in Atlanta. A Nas Reed in Minnesota, something like that. I know this won't happen, and I know Milwaukee wouldn't dare. I feel like Robin Lopez would be great for them. He's a big body. He's a guy that's an enforcer. You don't need scoring, but you need a rim protector and a guy who can use his fouls and knows how to play. So guys like that, I still like Nas Reed, like I say. So there's some guys out there who can replace they can possibly pick up later, but who knows? The NBA world continues. It's going to keep you swirling.
Do you think guys like Boogie and Dwight are still worthwhile at this point to bring on the teams that need help with size?
It just depends on yes, because I think I think Boogie, regardless of if he's happy about doing it, he's doing the right thing. Go play, be in shape, be ready. Now you're seen, and a team can decide if you are what they need and they want you. But the question's always going to be if a team. I feel like with those guys, if a team can see you play and do your thing without having to bring you in to see it, you know what I'm saying? They're going to do it. And I feel like Boogie's, regardless of how he feels, I think he's doing the right thing. Show these guys, hey, I still belong in the league.
Right.
So yeah, I think those are two guys that can potentially, get picked up. Boston, that is a great pickup for Boston. I didn't even think about Dwight or Boogie. But I feel like Dwight would be a guy. Boogie is a guy who can still score and is going to look to score. I don't know if that's the right piece, but somebody could use him.
Okay, well, we got an exciting start to the NBA season, and I think it's going to be an explosive finish to the WNBA season. For those of y'all that might be watching, and if y'all are casual or you're not really, there is no better place to jump in than to watch these star-studded, high-flying, explosive teams.
And it's not the regular season; it's the finals.
Face off in the finals. It's going to be cracking. It's going to be exciting. I can't wait.
That's what it is, Roz. I appreciate you as always. Appreciate you as always.
So good to be back with you. I missed you.
Oh, best believe now. We're gonna fit in your schedule to get you back and give us updates. I know you're in the fire doing what you do. You know how we do, man. Cut it out.
Okay, I'm pulling
Cut
up.
it out. Oh.
Look at you. You don't even want to.
No, I'm not fooling with you. Not fooling with you. Roz, appreciate you, man. I know you're busy. You're on a tight schedule. Always love.
All right, take care.
Kick your feet up, you can find us on all platforms. In that form, so be the hottest on them platforms. Your family now, got you listen to what we talking about. The VC show, let's go, it's time to turn it out. The VC show, let's go, let's go. The VC.
I said we had 3 segments, 3 new segments. And we're going to go to segment number 1. We're going to call it Pure Vinsanity Clip of the Week. So every week now, we're going to have a Pure Vinsanity clip of some sort, whether it be funny, wearing a wowing sports play. There was a lot of crazy sports plays, funny clips, maybe, whatever. So every week we're going to have a Pure Vinsanity moment or clip. And the one this week, we're going to call it Golf Interrupting a Wedding. Okay? So as you see, they're playing, beautiful moment, going through their wedding that's on a golf course. It's not in the evening. It's like during active playtime. And you see the guy right here, man. My man just walks up and he was trying to be discreet. He tries to move his ball into the grass. He's a lefty, so, he didn't want to be too far into the situation. So he moves into the grass and he basically plays it as it is, like nothing's going on. But you got to turn your volume up. Let's go back. Turn your volume up. And as the golf cart is going by, I don't quite understand the first part of what Buddy is saying on the golf cart, but turn it up.
To love it, he gets free. And so we pray today that these words,
and they're just like, hey, like basically I'm thinking, hey, it's a ceremony, hey, it's a wedding going on, hey, congratulations everybody, and they don't break stride, they just keep going. Like that's funny to me. It's just like, I can't just imagine you sitting there, your friend, family member getting married on this golf course that is active, like it's the middle of the day, people are playing, somebody overdraws or cuts one too far into your area, and it's not like they pick up and keep going. They put the ball down and keep it moving, and the people on the carts are just, hey, congratulations everybody, all right, and they go on to the ball. That's just crazy to me, man. Check this clip out, what you got every week. If you guys have some funny clips, send it to us, man. Send it to me, send it to VC Show. We'll check it out, and maybe it'll be on the Pure Vinsanity clip of the week. Our next segment, we're going to call this the shout out of the week. So now, hear me clear when I say this. This is my shout out of the week. It could be a shout out to a person, maybe a product. It's like it's going to be like product placement. It's just a shout out, like either things that I've tried, that I use, that I like, that I'm trying, that I've heard about, that I'm interested in, product that maybe you guys can try out that you may like. Also send that to us, and I'll check it out. Or just a person, out there that I had a great conversation with that I feel like everybody should just go to their page and give them a shout out. So I originally had one shout out of the week, but I'm going to do a second one. And my first one's going to go to Marquise Daniels, who's doing a great job at Auburn. Shout out to you, Marquise, man. He's had a rough time right now in his personal life, but I tell you what, man, he's been a soldier for his kids and his family, and still being a great coach over there at Auburn. Great things are happening for his kids. I think his kid just committed to Auburn, if I'm not mistaken. So shout out to you, Marquise Daniels. He's also a Bucks fan, so that's why he's my boy. Obviously, he's a Florida guy as well, but he's been on my mind. So shout out to him, and I hope that everybody just shoot him and show him some love, man. He would appreciate that, and tell him I sent you if you want to. Hopefully, he sees this. And my other shout out of the week is, y'all know I'm a golfer. All right. And a new golf ball, well, new to me, maybe to some of you, was presented to me to try out. And when you read, what the ball can do, they always say, oh, it's just like a Pro V1, less spin or more spin depending on the ball, flies 10 yards, 20 yards further, great spin, check, blah, blah, blah. But this Renegade, let me get a little closer. Renegade. Shout out to Renegade golf balls, Renegade.com. I'm sorry, Renegade.golf. Go check them out. It's a great ball. It's a little sticky, so it has good check. Flies, man. My ball was flying further for real. And I thought it was just me at first, and stuck with it. I'm seeing my ball fly on the greens, checking on the green, and just sticking. I'm hitting the distance I want, and it's sticking. Check them out, Renegade.golf, Renegade golf ball. I think you guys would like it. $35, I think, for a box of balls, for a 12-pack. So check that out. So that's my shout out of the week. If you guys have any other people or product of some sort, I'll have different products. I want to just shout out, show some love. I'm not sponsored by them. I have no ties to them. It's either something, like I said, that I use, or friends, family, or I've seen, or I'm interested in. Just want to show them some love here at the VC Show. And our last segment, it's going to be our last segment to close out the show every week, It's going to be called Who Did I Run Into? That's going to be the segment. And sometimes, some weeks, I'm not going to run into anybody. And sometimes I'm going to run into some people that you guys might not know, but you may know this guy locally or person, female, you may know them. So my Who Did I Run Into this week would be Derrick Brooks. For you Bucks fans, you all know who Derrick Brooks is. The Hall of Famer, Derrick Brooks. Number 55 for the Tampa Bay, Derrick Brooks, had a golf tournament in Tampa, Florida. Was it last week? Yes, last week. And obviously I was invited. He invited me a year ago. Couldn't make it last year, but I show up this year and run into some old friends. And I'm going to post this picture right here. And you see Mike All-Star on the far right, and I'm talking about on the picture. There's Jerome Bettis. If you're a Florida State fan, I hope to goodness you know who Terrell Buckley is. Let me look at the picture as well to join you. Who else is over there? Marcus Allen. You have Titus O'Neil, WWE. Winky Wright back there. Right in the very back behind Titus, Cordell Stewart. Gary Sheffield. That's in the Tampa orange. That is Derrick Brooks. In the pink shirt beside him, that is Marshall Faulk. Behind Derrick Brooks right there, you see who? That's Ed Too Tall Jones. For some reason, that man, he made me nervous, man. I definitely, I respect, obviously the older generation, and I naturally say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. Please, I do my please and thank you. And I sure was like, how you doing, sir? They wanted him in a picture. I was like, excuse me, sir, Mr. Ed Too Tall Jones. They want a picture with this man looks like, he's 72, I think. I think I remember we talked, I had to look it up. He's 72-ish, and man, great dude. He's a big boy. Beside him, that big fellow is my guy, Charles Oakley. Also in the back in the blue hats, Kevin Carter. Fred McGriff was there. Andrew Jones. I'm sure I'm missing more guys, more names that I can't recall right now. But yeah, that's who I ran into. Oh, Riedel Anthony, my boy from back in the day. I heard Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair were there. I didn't see them, so that's why I didn't name them. But that's who I ran into, man. And it was an interesting week. As usual, I appreciate you all. I hope you guys got to kick your feet up and have a great conversation as always. I think I'm gonna start doing that as well. I'm gonna start kicking my feet up and chat with y'all as well. I don't want to keep saying kick your feet up. We're family. Enjoy the conversation, and I'm not doing it with you. But not today. But anyway, man, we appreciate you as usual. Thank you. Check you out next week. Leave your comments below on all the things that we talked about today. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know your thoughts. And we'll see you next week. VC Show signing off. Let's go!
It's time to turn it out. The VC Show, let's go. Let's go. The VC Show, let's go. Let's go. The VC Show, let's go.